David Helman in Phoenix. Most everybody will be there later tonight. Also start broadcasting from NFL Media Headquarters in the Convention Center tomorrow. David Helman, Fox Sports, joins us. Paul Craig, and I'm David Smoke on 365 Sports. David, other than the game of who wins, what is to you the biggest storyline of the week?
I just think I'm particularly interested in the narrative of this game. I mean, I love when the two best teams go against each other, when it's one seed versus one seed. One of my biggest gripes with the NFL and with pro sports, I know playoffs are fun, but I think part of what's always drawn me to college football is the wordiness of the teams and the fact that you have to have a great season from beginning to end to pull it off. And so I think it's very fun that we've got obviously the best two teams from each conference. And then within that, I'm fascinated by roster versus quarterback. I really think the Eagles on the field have the advantage in every aspect of this matchup other than the most important position in the sport. So it's a huge opportunity for Patrick Mahomes to write a very impressive line in his resume. Or maybe it shows you the necessary method for success with the way the NFL is structured right now, which is that it's a hell of a lot easier to build a Super Bowl team when you don't have to pay your quarterback a lot of money. So those two philosophies kind of going at each other is very interesting to me. What's more important, having a quarterback who can elevate everything else or having a roster that doesn't have anything?
Yeah, David, I mean, if you look at what the Chiefs did in the offseason, trading away their best receiver who went and had a great season in Miami and then didn't really miss a beat. It's Mahomes, and he elevates everyone around him. They still have Mahomes, they still have Kelsey, and they've gotten by even through a ton of injuries at running back and wide receiver all year long, as where the Eagles, they went out and built the whole thing. I mean, all 53, like you said, probably outside of quarterback, they're going to win, 48 of those, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you really get into the nitty gritty of it, I think you can make an argument for maybe the Chiefs linebackers. But seriously, and I guess tight end, if you're not including tight end as part of your pass catching core, Philly really seems to have the edge everywhere else. But again, and I think if we've learned anything this offseason or this season, I just think we've got to take a break from trying to put people on Patrick Mahomes' level. We have to wait for somebody to prove that they're worth that, because people tried to make it Josh Allen for a little while, and that fell off. And people tried to make it Joe Burrow for a minute, and that fell off. And I'm not convinced there's anybody playing football right now that deserves to even be mentioned at the same time as him. And again, even at the end of the day, is that enough to overcome a roster that really doesn't have a weakness? Because, I mean, for everything I just said about Mahomes, he's not the favorite in this game. Which tells you a lot about just how good the Eagles are. So I can't wait. I can't wait to see what gives.
He's only 27 years old, David. He's got a long way to go. Knock on wood.
Does.
But are you finding it hard to even continuously find ways to say something new or keep it fresh when talking about just his level of greatness already?
Yeah, it's funny. I think the new thing you can say about him is just stop trying to put people on his level, and I think that's a product of kind of being bored, He showed up and was great right away, won NFL MVP in his first season as a starter, won a Super Bowl in his second season as a starter, and he's just adding to that every single year. And yeah, I think people get tired of hearing about winners, and people get tired of not having debates. And it's not to say it'll go on this way forever. Obviously, Burrow and Allen look fantastic. There's more great young quarterbacks in the league right now than I can remember in a long time. So it's not to say that won't change. But, yeah, I think for him to only be 27 years old, I think you have to stop and take stock of what rare company he's already in. And if he wins on Sunday, he is one of 4 quarterbacks that's won multiple MVPs and multiple Super Bowls, if we assume he's going to win MVP, which I do. I mean, that's Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Joe Montana territory. Like, you can put his accomplishments up against damn near anybody. And I guess, fortunately for Mahomes, or fortunately for those of us that have to do this for a living, we'll always have Brady to compare him to. And so it's obviously going to take a lot of time and luck for him to pass Brady. But it's pretty incredible that just in year 5, he's already on a very, very short list when you talk about career accomplishments.
David, did you ever think that Jalen Hurts could lead a team to a Super Bowl as a quarterback?
I'm not going to go back and give myself credit. I would probably say no. And a big part of that, I've told people too, is we've seen a lot of Jalen Hurts, especially those of us that follow college football. We've seen him. He started as a true freshman at Bama, lost the job there, and so we followed him 4 years in college, playing at the highest level, playing on great teams. And even at Bama, even at Oklahoma, when he got OU to the college football playoff, he never looked like a difference maker. And so I guess I would say no, I didn't see this. But if you could go back in time and tell me, well, Jalen Hurts, much like his time at Alabama, will be the quarterback of one of the most loaded teams in the league, that sounds a little more plausible. But I have to give him the credit of saying, no, I didn't foresee this coming.
David, Brian Schottenheimer is the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys. Mike McCarthy's going to call the plays. Is this a move that Cowboy fans should be excited about? Or, I kind of think it's about where it was going to go. So I don't think they should be all that disappointed, seeing as they shouldn't have gotten their hopes up for someone, young and exciting in the first place.
It's boring. And, I think it was always going to be boring as soon as the word leaked that Mike McCarthy was going to call the plays this year. Yeah, I mean, who are you going to get? Why would a hotshot coordinator, rising star, come into a situation where he's not going to call the plays and he's going to be the 3rd or 4th most noteworthy coach on the staff behind Mike and Dan Quinn and et cetera, et cetera. So, I think as soon as we found out Mike was going to call the plays, I think we could have predicted that this was going to be a boring hire. I feel kind of neutral on it. And again, I just think, Mike McCarthy wants to be the architect of this thing. He's either going to get the credit or he's going to have to fall on his sword. So I don't think it's necessarily bad that this is a boring hire. I'm not saying it's good. But when we know that it's all going to come down to the head coach anyway, I'm a lot less worried about the OC situation, because if Mike is calling the plays and having heavy input on the scheme, then the OC is running offensive meetings and putting the practice script together, but not as much on game day, and that's what it comes down to. So I'm just kind of
David, you're in Phoenix. Obviously, we'll see you tomorrow, hopefully, or maybe at some point throughout the week. You're broadcasting from the stadium, correct?
Yes, we are setting up. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. So you're actually in Glendale. I'm sorry.
Well, technically, I'm in Los Angeles right now. We haven't left yet. We're doing our show live from State Farm Stadium on Thursday and Friday. But yeah, we'll be in Glendale. We'll be set up at the stadium. It should be a ton of fun. But I'm pretty jealous because people are starting to arrive in Arizona as early as today. And I'm like, damn, I don't want to wait until Wednesday. I want to get out there and see what all the fuss is about. But it'll be a ton of fun when we get there.
David, the Senior Bowl was this weekend. Have you started to develop your draft crush yet?
So it's so weird, just the way your role changes. Because obviously, this is the first time I've missed the Senior Bowl. I guess I didn't go during the COVID year, but I've been to 7 of the last 8 Senior Bowls. I think the last time I missed when I had the option to go was when Zach Martin was a prospect. So I love the Senior Bowl. I think it gives you a leg up. I definitely, I've been keeping my eye on it. I've heard a few names. But as far as just, my own research, I'm starting to dabble in the tape. And no idea if this makes sense for the Cowboys But yeah, I have a draft crush, and his name is Nolan Smith, the defensive end out of Georgia. He's actually hurt for most of the second half of the season, but I fired up some of his tape from September and October last night, and I was like, okay, this guy's got the juice that you want from a pass rusher. So no idea if that makes sense for the Cowboys, but yeah, I'm having fun starting to familiarize myself with some of these names.
It is a deep dive, and I know you love it, and you do a great job with it. Thank you very much, David. Enjoy the time when you get into the Phoenix area, and we'll talk to you again next week after the Super Bowl.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right, that's David Helman, FoxSports.com, covering the NFL. Obviously does quite a bit covering the Cowboys, but we'll be covering Super Bowl 57. Was it about